The stock market plunge of 2021 coming soon. The warning signs have been there for quite a while now, but wow, over the last couple days and weeks, the warning signs are flashing red. Let's get into this and talk about a few of the metrics that I look at and why I am so concerned about this market right now. Now again, I just want to say I am not giving you trading advice, financial advice, investment advice, or advice of any kind, but rather this is coming from somebody who has been following the financial markets very closely on a daily basis for over 12 years now, and I can share with you some of my experience and some of the things that I've seen play out that I'm starting to see once again. I shouldn't even say starting to see. We've been seeing this for quite a while, but it's all of a sudden gotten very, very aggressive over the last week or so, or especially just the last couple of days. Anyway, let's get right into this and talk about some of this, and I think you're going to be hopefully a little bit surprised and learn something from this video. So first off, let's talk about interest rates. So just a few days ago, it wasn't even a week ago, I released a video talking about the interest rates on the 10-year that I look at. I look at the 10-year as just a general benchmark as far as what are interest rates doing. That's kind of just what I look at as my general benchmark. Well, when I recorded that video, not even a week ago, interest rates on the 10-year were sitting at 1.3%, which is pretty elevated, but 1.3%. Now, here we are, just a few days later, as I record this video, interest rates on the 10-year are sitting at 1.46%, approaching 1.47%. So in less than a week, we've gone up quite a bit once again. Is that concerning? Yes. Do interest rates typically move this quickly? No, not a chance. Typically, interest rates move very, very slowly. Now, a lot of people say, "No, dude, you're crazy. Interest rates don't do anything to the market." Yeah, they do. Yeah, I've seen this play out so many times. The market does not like rising interest rates. Typically, the market says, "Whoa, I don't like that. Retreat, sell, sell, sell." By the way, I'm not telling you to sell. That's basically just, that was the voice of the market. That's what happens. One other interesting thing about this, guess where interest rates were last year, last February of 2020? I'll give you a little hint. Where do you think they were? Yeah, basically sitting at the exact same levels. Does everybody know what happened in March of 2020? Yep. The market got spanked by about 40+% in a matter of about a month. Yeah. So that's concern number one. We'll have to continue watching that. And again, I'm glad that I'm putting this out on record. I could be absolutely wrong, and don't get me wrong. I've been wrong many, many times in my life, but guess what? I've also been right many, many times too. So we'll just have to see. It's out there. It'll be out there. But let's talk about the metric number 2 that I'm looking at once again. Oil, or energy, let's call it. Energy. As of this recording, oil is trading at about $63.50 per barrel on WTI. Okay, well, that's great, but we need to put this into perspective, as in, where has it come from? Let's look at Brent now. Brent is trading at about $67 per barrel. Okay, cool. Once again, we need perspective, right? We need perspective as in, where is oil? Where did it come from? What's going on? Well, as we know, oil, or energy prices, when they typically go up, a surge in energy prices, once again, basically spanks the market. It usually does every time. It may take a little while, but it usually does. I'll give you another little hint. Last year, about January time of 2020, I'll give you a little hint. Where do you think oil prices were sitting about 13 or so months ago in January of 2020? You called it. Basically the same levels they're sitting at now. And what happened to the market once again in March of 2020? Yep, you got that right. A massive collapse of about 40+% in the S&P. Well, among basically everything else got clobbered during that time, but just using the S&P as kind of a benchmark once again during that time. So, okay, these are just two metrics. Now you might be thinking, okay, yeah, okay, we'll give you the interest rate argument, but energy, that's just based on the weather surge, or the surge in energy costs. As for everything with the weather that happened down in Texas. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that too. But like I've said in other videos, is whatever happens to price, news is just a catalyst to move price to where it was going to go anyway. It's all about supply and demand. That's what the market moves on. Supply and demand, and news or reports or announcements are the catalyst to move price to where it was going to go anyway. What are some other warning signs? Well, let's look at crypto, or Bitcoin in particular, for just a minute. February was historically, or not historically, but February was the best performing month in the history of Bitcoin up until probably recently, when Bitcoin has gone down quite a bit recently. So, the best performing month in one of the probably the most speculative asset class out there, Bitcoin. Well, what typically marks a top in a market? A bunch of people buying at the very top of the market. Meanwhile, the professionals are selling to all of those people who are jumping in, driving prices higher. What's another metric I'm looking at? Well, something else we have to look at is those individuals buying call contracts, like options contracts, calls. There has been a surge of call buying in the options market over the last few weeks. Well, what does this mean? Typically, novice traders, retail traders, are the ones who jump in and buy massive amounts of option call contracts at the top of the market. And guess what the professionals are doing? Yeah, they're selling. They're selling all their way. But you know what? Another thing, too, about professionals, they have massive positions that they need to unload. Can you just unload a massive position of millions upon millions of shares, or tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars worth of stock or ETFs or options or anything? Can you just push a button and unload all that? No, you can't. These huge firms that have these firms, hedge funds, banks, you name it, whoever has all of these millions upon millions of shares of all these different stocks, ETFs, whatever it is that they have, can they just literally push a button like a market order and unload their position? No, they need to feed it into the market very slowly over the course of probably several days and several weeks. They can't just all of a sudden push a button. That would collapse the market. They can't do that. Plus, they want to get the absolute best price they can on the positions that they have, right? So they want to just feed it in little lots at a time, maybe 5,000, 10,000 shares at a time. They're just kind of feeding in slowly over time, days and days, weeks and weeks, unloading millions of shares into the market. Well, who's buying those shares? Unfortunately, it's typically the small guy who is uninformed or misinformed because they just heard a news report saying, hey, you should buy blank because, it just reported earnings of whatever, 38 cents a share. I mean, who cares? Seriously, who cares about that stuff? Look at the technicals. Fundamentals can be cooked at any time. It doesn't really matter what the fundamentals say. Now, again, you can use fundamentals in your analysis, but really, it's all about supply and demand. Are things a little bit frothy right now after the market's gone ragingly higher over the last multiple months? Is this a great time to be buying? I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't touch this market with a 10-foot pole, and I'm not. I'm going to wait for this thing to come down to me. I'm waiting way, way down lower. When this thing comes down, I would happily scoop up some shares for, 50% lower. But anyway, that's totally beside the point. And again, I could be completely wrong with everything I'm saying right now. But either way, it's on record now. I could be totally wrong, or I could be totally right. You never know. Only time will tell. But guess what? This video is out there now. Everybody's out there to see. There's a date stamp on it down below in the description. I'm actually filming this on February 25th, which happens to be a Thursday. And interest rates, once again, are smoking higher. So either way, we'll have to see. Only time will tell. But I'll either see you at the top or see you at the bottom, or who knows? Maybe we'll just sit here and base around for the next 6 years. You never know, but I highly doubt it. Either way, hope you learned something from this video. I'll continue sharing things with you as I see them pop up. But wow, a lot of warning signs flashing for sure these days. We'll have to see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens over the coming days. Anyway, enough out of me. Enjoy your day, everybody. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, share the video, and I'll catch you later. See ya.